What's up guys, I'm Apex Panther and today I would love to tell you guys about how to get some awesome loot in Apex Legends early on in the game. Now most of these locations you're probably already going to know about, however I've categorized each location in this video to a tier. We're going to have high risk, medium risk, and low risk. So we're going to be starting this video with the areas that you can get the best loot with the highest risk to drop, and as the video progresses later on in the video we'll be moving on to the medium and low risk areas for those of you who don't want to necessarily have a front to front combat with any other squads as soon as you've dropped in the game. So first of all, of course, the most obvious place is going to be the hot zone. You may be thinking, what is the hot zone? And some of you probably know exactly what the hot zone is. And unfortunately, this place is going to be very high risk indeed. Now, what the hot zone is an area indicated on the map which is random every time, where high tier loot will always spawn. Hence why this area is called the hot zone. This is definitely going to be an area that if you're not so good at combat and you don't want engagement early on or a rush to get some loot, somewhere you don't want to drop. But if any of you are feeling risky and you want some good loot with a guaranteed chance of grabbing some, head to this hot zone which is indicated by a blue laser beam emitting from the area. Now like I said, it's almost like the mystery box on Call of Duty Zombies. You'll see this blue light coming out of the sky and dropping here will give you guys some awesome loot. I've had level 3, level 2, I've had epic items, I've had blue backpacks, and every time I've dropped here so far I've had some pretty amazing loot. However, there's been tons and tons of enemy squads spawning here as well. And our last high risk area that you guys can drop into, another obvious one here, is going to be the supply ship. As soon as you've jumped out of the main ship and choose somewhere to land, you'll see this supply ship flying through the sky. This is going to be another location where you guys can get some epic loot from, but there's bound to be other squads dropping here as well. The best strategy I've found with the supply ship is having a squad land on this ship, and as soon as you've grabbed even a few items, instead of engaging in any enemies, jumping right off the ship and continuing to loot as usual somewhere down below, because having someone die on this ship, you aren't actually able to revive them if you've already jumped off. So make sure you make note of that all of you jump off this ship and that you're all alive at the same time, otherwise you won't be able to revive your buddy. Now we're moving on here to a medium risk location, which is going to be the Hydro Dam. Now at the Hydro Dam, I've actually had a little bit of a mixed reaction there. There's always pretty much some pretty good loot there, but it's not anything epic, and that's why this is going to be a medium tier location. Now every time I've dropped here so far, I've had level 2 backpacks, level 2 helmets, but I haven't had anything epic other than a few scopes, and nothing really other than that. But this is definitely one of the lower risk locations that you can drop, but still you're going to be taking a risk by dropping here because a lot of other players have the same idea in mind. Now another medium risk location, but I'm actually going to call this a low risk location from my previous experience, is going to be the relay location on the map. Now relay, of course, a lot of you have probably landed here and you know exactly what I'm talking about, but relay is a pretty reliable location to land if you guys want to get some pretty good loot. Now this area isn't actually guaranteed to spawn anything amazing at all, but considering it's such a large area and it's in the corner of the map, not many squads actually take the effort to land down here, unlike locations such as Hydro Dam and so on and so forth, because it's all the way on one end of the map. If you're spawning on the opposite end in the airship, you're pretty much guaranteed that many other of the squads are going to have already jumped out and taken the locations, such as the hotspot and so on and so forth, maybe the supply ship. So this is probably one of the last locations you guys are going to be able to get guaranteed good loot before we move on to the lower risk areas. Now my favourite low risk area to actually drop with my squad is going to be the Cascades, and the reason for that is because you can analyse where one of the squads is landing and try and attempt to land in one of the opposite sides of the lake. Failing that, another awesome low risk area is going to be the pit. Now the reason why the pit is low risk is because you're pretty much guaranteed to not run into too many squads around this vicinity. It's highly likely that on one of your playthroughs or one or two of your drops in this location you will run into an enemy squad, but that could be said for every location around this map. However, considering this area doesn't have anything necessarily guaranteed, such as the hotspot or the hydro dam, this is definitely going to be one of the safer locations to drop. Not only that, but the fact that this area is shielded by cliffs basically means that you're invisible to any outside squads that may be scouting you in other locations, and also it's a pretty tough spot to get into, which is basically like a deterrent for a lot of other squads to landing here. They'd much rather go for something easier and a location that's a lot more easily accessible. However, considering this is low risk, this place does not guarantee you any good loot at all, and there's been many times where I've left this place disappointed from not having any good loot whatsoever. So just make sure you bear that in mind, sorry, and I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, make sure you click like down below, leave me a comment with anything else you want me to make a video on. Stay cool, stay awesome, I hope you guys enjoyed, and adios.